Hey, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are on the globe. This is Dr. Jerry Dreessen, welcoming you to another Thursday Live here at the Association of PEMF. And today we're going to be talking about on our live stream about your devices as far as keeping it running, PEMF device maintenance and field calibration, getting the Gauss you paid for. So some of the things that we want to make sure is working is your machine that you have plunked in a lot of money to have. Those of you taking it out onto the field and using it on animals, those of you that are bringing people into your business and using it on humans, those are some of the things that we often talk about, but we thought we'd put it together in another live stream. So a couple of maintenance things here for us. Please like and share what we've got going on here. You can do that through Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. You can jump over to our blog and read things and like stuff there, and also over on Instagram. As you know, those of you that do this with your own marketing, it's a way of enhancing and bringing your stuff out in front of more people that are looking for what you have. So with that, let's jump in and talk about PEMF device maintenance and field calibration, getting the Gauss that you pay for. If your device is underperforming, every session suffers. Just take that to heart. So if you have a machine that hasn't been calibrated in a while, even if it's at 90% of its capacity, those are definitely things that you want to bring back up. So we put together a 10-step quick check for you and your machines. And I'm going to go through that this morning, and then you'll be able to take that, make notes if you want, write these down. We will have them also in the comment section here on the Facebook page. So first thing you need to do is know your device. So is it an analog? Does it have knobs and dials? Can you slowly move the dial around? And then, as we talk about here, over time, the little gap that's in there, that gap can kind of change a little bit. So it's kind of like your guitar getting out of tune. Still works, but you can tell there's a little bit of dissonance in there. Digital, again, it's going to have built-in measures to pop up if there's something wrong, which is great. So at a glance, you'll know that if it needs to be calibrated or not. Low power is gentle. Longer sessions runs cooler. The higher power has the strong short bursts, and it runs hotter. And then also the cables that you have plugged in, it works harder on those as well. So something else to think about is your attachments. Are they running at optimum? So those are some things you can talk to about your manufacturer. Some of them, it is there are devices that it's an all-in-one. So those are some things to consider too. So 30-second safety. So remember to unplug it before touching the connectors and let the coils cool. Keep away from water, metal, and jewelry. If it smells burnt or gives repeated errors, then stop and call support. So that's kind of just the overall on that. So if you see smoke coming out of your machine, unplug it and run away. No, just make sure that your company gets called right away. And we all know that if there's what an electrical smell is like, and if you have a fan in there and it stops running, the fan is very important for cooling things off. So double check that. So in our live quick check, as far as 10 steps, number one is to clear the area. So we're talking about make sure your vents are open, nothing stacked on top of your machine, or even underneath it, but where is your cooling vent on it if it has one, and making sure that that's unobstructed. Over time, it's going to suck in some lint, so make sure you run a vacuum on that and pull all of that out of there too. Some of you are really diligent, and after each use, you're doing some kind of cleaning, which is great. As far as look and touch, make sure you don't have any frayed cables. We've got pets and animals that love to chew on cords. If you see any bite marks or anything on your cord, that could be an issue. But if there's any pins or cracks on your stuff, making sure that gets taken care of. Plug in safely, so no daisy chain power strips, but make sure that you've got from your plug into a surge protector into the wall, as opposed to you've probably seen people that have, well, I guess A Christmas Story. That's one of my favorite shows, but the whole house is based on 2 plugins. So just be power safe, be power smart. Start it up with your usual program. Note anything that's going wrong. Run a couple of minutes so that it settles. Some of you, doesn't need to be done, but sometimes running the machine prior to it being used, you can learn a lot on what's going on. And then listen and feel. So if it sounds and feels the same. So some of us have, again, machines that click. We've got a spark chamber. There's digital. Does it hum? Is there anything that's unusual about it? Again, if there's any kind of strong smells, that's a red flag. Airflow, do the fans spin? Is the air moving? Is the dust filter clean? Those of you that have machines that have that, but again, those are things to check. And it's like, I don't even know if machine has those things. Well, those are great conversations to have with the maker or the user manual. And you may find out for the first time that, every 10 hours working, you need to do blank maintenance. So it's a great time to crack open your user manual or just email your manufacturer of your device. Cable wiggle. So gently wiggle each connector while it's running, and it should not cut out or flicker. If you see anything on your readout, digital readout, if it kind of fades out and fades back in. So those are all things that should not happen, but if they do, those are main things. So also heat check. So is the coil, if it's hot or not. Again, the coil itself, cats love to bite things. So, they may have bitten into the coil at some point, but, just kind of check and see that the temperature is even. If there is even a temperature, oftentimes it does get warmed up, but it's because it's taking on the heat of the person or animal that it's on. Optional meter. So if you own one, take your usual readings at the same time, every time, the same way every time. And, being consistent on that. If there's any changes, call. Some people, they do have a Gauss meter, but these things are very sensitive. And if you talk to any manufacturer, it's actually a huge expense to put it in a room to be measured that's totally magnetic free, because you need to have absolutely no magnetic variance anywhere, including Earth's magnetic field, in order to get a true reading. So some of you know about that too, but some of you have some sort of a gauge that does do some kind of reading. And if you have that, then make sure that that's consistent. Instead of stop, drop, and roll, we have pass, watch, and stop. So if it looks clean, sounds normal, stays at the right warmth, then there's no warning. So that's a pass. As far as watching it, if there's minor wear, the fan's a little bit louder, slightly different feel, just note that and put it in your little scheduler, like in a week, to check it again. Those of us that use it all the time, we're constantly checking. But if you're a person that is just out and doing things, throw it in as a reminder. And then again, stop. So burning smell, very hot parts, repeated errors. If it's cutting in and out, again, stop and call support, especially if it's a strong powered one, because you don't want sparks and clicks kind of going off into the wild. You don't want a Tesla coil with all of the Tesla wires coming out of it, although that would be a great effect for a movie. So some care tips and by device type. So analog, again, Inspect everything. Make sure your knobs are, locked in properly. It may have slid a little bit, or it may take more to turn it off if you have some of the older analog ones. Sometimes it's hard to get it unlocked and locked as far as, going from low to high. Some people have channel locks to get that knob to turn. So, those are some things to, because it gets dust in there. So make sure you have that looked at. Check it monthly. Do the quick check monthly. And if it starts to feel weaker or inconsistent, book a tune-up calibration with the maker or authorized services. Some of them you pack it up and ship it, and then they recalibrate it and send it back. Find out what that time is. Know what that is now. Like if I were to send this in to get it recalibrated, what's my wait time? Because if all of a sudden you need to do that, at least you know that it's a 10-day turnaround or a 5-day turnaround, or they'll send you a device to use while yours is getting, under maintenance. So, or getting tuned up. So those are some important things to know ahead of time if you need to use that. As far as digital, again, these newer devices are so good at, popping up an error if there is one. And that way you can even call and say, hey, I've got, this error message that says 295Z. And they go, oh yeah, you just need to do blank. You can take care of that. Or wow, yeah, you need to get that taken care of. You need to send that in. So it's a lot easier with the digital ones. But again, if it doesn't perform well on your quick check, and I'll even say this, I mean, manufacturers, they probably have their own quick check for you to, make sure things are running smoothly. And then low power, again, it stays cooler. It's a lot quieter, but again, small changes are often okay. But again, write it down. Have some sort of a log diary for that device. It can even be, part of the device where you got the maintenance that you just, it stays with the machine. You put the date, what you did, and the results, so that we've got some kind of a log going on. Similar to those of you that have cars and tractors and things, you got your little maintenance booklet that you keep in the glove box, so you know what's been, what's going on, or when the last time it was that you did something. And then high power, again, the main thing is whether or not the connectors are working properly, or if there's just even over time that the loops, the tape that was used to create the loops, they can start to deteriorate and fall apart. What kind of looping material is it? Is it a like electrical wire tape, or is it a special tape that comes from your manufacturer? So inspect that, keep things clean. Make sure you're not using any solvents on it, or particular kinds of solvents that'll melt the glue that holds it together. Those are, things that are important too. And then if you're doing a lot of use for it, if this machine is running every day for hours at a time, then, your quick check and maintenance is going to be very important for the life of your machine. Because if it stops working and it was because of a minor problem that wasn't taken care of early on, then it could cost you a new machine. So that's, one of the things that we want to make sure is going on, or is being checked. Some simple fixes before you call. If it feels weaker but it runs, restart it, choose the right program, you let it warm up, clean the filter, try a different cable if you have one. So those are some things that if you're trying to force an issue, if you want to check and see what's going on, try using different objects. Again, try different connector or different plug-in, different what I'm trying to say, different device that goes on there, and see if it's because there's some sort of short going on in the attachment that you're using. Again, if it gets hot, if it's got a fan in there, clear the vents out. There might have some dust accumulated and it's plugged up. So kind of like the dryer, you got to clean your lint out all the time. Unless you're in college, then you don't even know what a lint filter is, right? If it does get hot, you're going to shorten the sessions because of the heat. So let it cool, and then check the airflow. Big one, if it turns off mid-session, it's like, what happened? Some of these devices might have this auto off, which is great, but also check and see if it is heating up electrically. Then if your surge protector's kicking off, then there's something mechanical, electrical going on in there, and that's not what you want. Again, weird noises. If there is a problem with that, or let me back up again. We talked about the power strip and looking at the loose cords. Again, electricity loves to flow out wherever there's a crack, and it loves to show you that there's a crack by heating up. So, it's just even the smallest of problems in the electrical system can cause a lot of heat. Weird noises and clicks. Make sure you don't have any insects running around in there. And again, just stop, call support, tell them what's going on. Chances are, since they're the maker of the device, that they've heard it before and they know exactly what you need to do to fix it. If they could give you some way to fix it at home, or if it does need to be sent out. And again, error messages, that's what I love about the digital side, is it does a pretty good self-check and it lets you know what's going on ahead of time. Cleaning the cord, remember to do that as much as you can, and wipe the coils and handles daily. Know that you're cleaning it with a solvent versus is it an alcohol based, is it an oil based? Those of you've already got it figured out, like a baby wipe or something like that, where it's not going to be abrasive or caustic to the system. I don't know if those of you that have fans and filters, if you have some on hand and how often you swap those out. Wrap cables in gentle loops, not tight bends. Remember, you don't want to break your attachment leads. Oh yeah, Maureen's got a good point there too, as far as digital machines, just for that reason, because of the self checks that are going on. Those of you that have them, I'm sure that you totally are in love with them, which has been a great addition to the PEMF stream. Once we started getting into that digital side, where the that system in and of itself has really been a game changer. And yeah, don't carry it around by the cord. Don't yank it by the cord. Don't well, it's your machine. That. Don't let anybody else do that. I guess that would be the thing, is when people are renting them from you or borrowing them, make sure that they understand all of these things, because they're like, yeah, I tried really hard to get this connector off. I finally had to give it a good yank and then it came out. That's not the story that you want to hear. And then of course, just keeping your device free of anything metal. If you're in a warehouse or places where there is metal dust around, or scraps, or like welders, industrial side of things, just make sure it's in a good environment. Going down the list here, when to get a tune-up, when to calibrate it. Well, think of a calibration like a yearly checkup, especially for high power or heavily used devices. So if it's got a lot of hours on it every year, again, that's your baby. If it's going to go down because it wasn't maintained, it's going to be a lot more expensive. Get one sooner if you notice any of our stop items, or if the unit gets dropped, or if you notice a repeat change after your quick check. So that's our advice to you on keeping your device healthy. Again, I think I'm preaching to the choir on this, because those of you that have your machines love them, and you do want to make sure that they're running well and that they don't cause any problems. So some questions that we like to throw out there. Well, how often should I do the quick check? What's a normal amount of warmth? Do I really need a meter? All of those are great questions to ask your manufacturer, because everybody has a timeline. All the makers of these devices, they have recommendations, and that's the best thing to do. But if you don't know, just do do a quick check every time you start it up or once a week. What's the normal amount of warmth? Let the device run for an hour and see how warm it gets. You can put a temperature gauge on it. Get one of those little stick-on temperature things, so that way you can see what it looks like. It's just I don't know if you put it on your propane tanks, but it just shows a color range as it gets warmer or cooler. And then, do I really need a meter? That's a great question. We can't find a decent meter that really does give the true reading. But that being said, if you have a meter and it does read it and it's a consistent setting, whether it's the true reading or not, as long as it's consistent and you can see it go up or down if the machine is not working properly, that's kind of the bottom line on that. And they used to sell them quite a while ago, but I've yet to find a company that sells a meter that reads properly and consistently. I guess I'll put it that way. If you have one, let us know, because would be interested to find out. And then final tips again: analog versus digital. Analog's like a vinyl record. It's great, but it can drift like a guitar getting out of tune. Digital's like streaming. It's steady and gives you warnings. Low versus high power. Low power is a long, gentle soak. High power is a quick, strong blast. And so stronger gear needs more frequent checks as far as when it peaks, and also cables and cooling. So some things to think about. And then calibration. The tune-up keeps it honest. If anything feels off or you see repeated errors, then definitely book a tune-up with your manufacturer. And then again, thanks for your time today. Those of you that jumped on live, I love having an audience. But again, if you're watching this on the recorded part, again, welcome and thanks for hopping on and checking out. Share this with your friends. Those of you that are not members of the AOPP, or you have friends that have PEMFs that are not members, this is a really good one to share because it helps them, stay on top of everything. Those of you that are not members and you want to become one, we've got our website, pemfprofessionals.com. Questions and tips, send them to us at info@pemfprofessionals.com. If you see anything on the horizon as far as what's coming, or even if there's like a new device that's coming out inside of your group, if you can let us know about that, we would love to talk to the manufacturers about it and find out all the cool things about it. Also, keep coming in and checking these out. We'll have more information about our PEMFCon that we've got coming up in the fall. We're really excited about that too. So again, I want to thank you very much for tuning in with us today. And I want to thank those of you that showed up live. And Maureen, you're welcome. Thank you. Glad to have you aboard. And I will see you again next week, where we talk about another Thursday Live that you wouldn't want to miss. All right. Take care. We'll see you later. Bye.